Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jim. It's Amadeus, and of course, it's got to be a messy day. So it's not messy outside, but it will be messy about 90 miles north of here. As he and his Inter Miami team play against Philadelphia. And Amadeus, I know, um, you know, it's going to be fun. They're on the road. They're playing in Philly, and it's going to be crazy in Chester tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It's gonna be getting messy down at Subaru Park for sure. Love that reference that you pulling out there, but
Yeah.
definitely, it's gonna be an interesting game because for most of this tournament, Miami has looked great with the new additions, but they've played a lot of the tournament at home. Now they did impress in Dallas. That was really the only road game they played, especially considering they started out with the lead the first 20 minutes. Then all of a sudden, they get down 4-2, and then they clawed their way back just to win in penalties. So that was a wild match. And it's going to be interesting because that was their only road match played. And Philadelphia is a much better team than Dallas. Obviously, this is one of the best teams in the MLS. They were in the MLS Cup last year, obviously made Champions League, and they're very good at home. They have a very good home advantage for sure. So it's going to be an interesting night. I'm very interested to see how Messi and Miami shape up against a really good MLS side here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And the thing that the Philadelphia owners, as well as the team, and pretty much everybody that has anything to do with Philadelphia, was begging their ticket holders not to sell the tickets to Messi fans, because that's what happened in Dallas. I mean, they literally turned Dallas into Miami West. Well, we're going to see if that happens tonight. With in Philly, and as I said, Chester, which is just outside of Philly, is not necessarily the easiest place to get to, and in and out parking, all that other stuff. So I think, and by the way, the tickets at last check was $450, which is the average seat in that stadium. So the ticket prices are getting up there.
It feels like everybody's gonna just skyrocket when he comes to town.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it reminds me a lot of when Michael Jordan played basketball. People, or for that matter, Kobe Bryant. If they didn't see it, LeBron James, another. If you were playing in an area and the only game you could afford to go to that season would be that game, you would buy the tickets to get to that game, and the games, meant something because you were watching, someone who played the game better than anybody else. So it's you don't get to see a Leo Messi often. So, if it's there, you got to take that opportunity, especially if you're a fan of his.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you could probably expect every stadium is going to do this for sure when he comes to town. It reminds me a lot. I've seen it in other sports too, like specifically in the NHL. There's a lot of Canadians down in Florida. They buy houses, they drive down, they fly down all the time. I know people with houses down in Florida. So yeah, like the Florida Panthers, they're not a popular team now. They've been good over the last 2 years, obviously. But still, like their tickets up to 2 years ago. I haven't checked recently, but they would sell for like $20. You could get in the building, and you get pretty good seats too for less than $50. But when the Leafs came to town, nothing for less than $100. And when Montreal came to town, forget about it, $200 or more. And that's the thing. They're just they know, we got a big Canadian populace. They're going to come to watch their team, so we got to jack the ticket prices up, make some money here.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I know that's the case when Montreal and Toronto come to Washington, because everybody. Yeah. And the thing is that in Washington, as is in the case of Tampa Bay, they're sold out. So when you got a sellout, you got a buyer's market. A seller's market at that point. You can sell whatever ticket for whatever price you want, because the only way to get indoors through you. So yeah, when it comes to Washington, everybody wants Toronto and Montreal come and they want to see Ovi play. They want to see though surprisingly, and well, it may not be surprising to you. There's a lot of Toronto and Montreal. Montreal, you can actually take the train from Montreal to DC, and so there are a lot of Montreal fans who come down and watch when Penguins come to town because they want to see Sidney Crosby. So it's an interesting situation. For those of you who do not have, by the way, Apple Plus, not that I'm promoting, but Apple TV Plus and the MLS Season Pass is on sale now. If you're an Apple TV Plus subscriber, it's on sale for $40 for the rest of the season. And it's $50 if you're not. So if you want to watch the rest of the season, and start tonight with Messi, good on you. If you can't, you just want to listen to the game, here is the link. Okay, so you've got the link. Click on that link, and that's the audio. That's the Miami feed of the game, and you'll be able to listen to it should you wish to on Odyssey, which is a free app, and it's WQAM radio. They start an hour early with their pregame show. They do a really nice job, to be honest. They actually have actual people who know what soccer is, which is a good thing. You're doing it on the radio, specifically here. So if you, for some reason, you don't have the MLS season ticket, season pass that you can get and subscribe to, well, this is your free. This is Amadeus and I giving you a free opportunity to listen to the game tonight on your Odyssey app. So, and it should, by the way, work anywhere.
Yeah, actually, you know what I do? I do use the Odyssey app too. There's a few, New York radio stations that I'll listen to sometimes. So absolutely, great app there for sure.
So there you go. And all you have to do is go to QAM and you're good to go. So you can listen to the game tonight on us. If it's free, it's for us. So there you go. So we're back in the thick of it here. What's going on today, tomorrow, and what did you like yesterday?
Yeah, well, so definitely with the Leagues Cup, just to get back on, just to mention one last thing with the Leagues Cup. So obviously we had the semifinals, the Philadelphia, the Miami match. The other one is Nashville and Monterey. That'll be interesting since Monterey went into LA and beat LAFC 3-2 in the last round. So that was a very surprising one there. But there you go, Monterey, one of the best Mexican clubs in their league. So definitely good on them. It's going to be exciting because, obviously Nashville will be at home tonight, and they're a pretty good team at home. They beat Minnesota 5-0 in the last round. So going to be an explosive match for sure, I would think. I think you'll see some goals in that one for sure. So if you still want some action after the Messi match, I'm not sure if those are going at the same time. I would hope not. If CONCACAF has anything to say about that, I would hope they planned that one out. Yes, that one would be after. So if you still need your soccer fix after watching Messi, I would suggest watch an action-packed match for sure. If Messi gets through to the final, you'll get to see who he's going to play with that match there.
Well, I mean that'll be fun to watch, and we'll then those finals will come, and we'll be back to normal. How about that? So
yeah. And I also just wanted to mention, I think the MLS missed out on an opportunity, Jim. I saw that Neymar went to the Saudi Pro League, so big miss there.
You beat me to the punch. I was going to say, we had him going to Miami, but he's what is it, $300 and some million?
Yeah, something massive like that. So at least somebody will pay his salary out there, Jim.
Yeah. Clearly somebody wants to.
Yeah, someone's willing to.
It is what it is, but it's definitely for sure a bit of a mess. So let's just go and get from there and get it going, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be fun, that's for sure. So we'll see how that plays out. So now the Champions League's back, and other leagues are back. What should we be watching, paying attention to? I mean, it's early, so it's one of those things where you have to be careful what you see and how you evaluate. From a wagering standpoint, how does that affect your decision on what to who to go to and what to do? Because we're just starting. It's the early part of the season, and so not everybody's there, and also not everybody is playing.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to not overreact after this 1st
Mhm.
week. I mean, I thought it went pretty much the way I thought it was going to go with a lot of these teams, and really, you can't really fault. Some teams get out to a slower start. Some teams get hot, win like six straight, and then drop off. So it's always tough to gauge right at the beginning of the season. But I think especially since the transfer window hasn't closed yet, we could still see plenty of moves. So definitely, at least until the end of August, I would think is when you really want to start buckling down, because once the transfer window closes, at least the teams can't change until about the winter. So after August, the next 2-3 matches are going to be big, because that's when teams know these are going to be our players for the first half of the season until the transfer window opens back up again in the winter. So we need to make this work, and we have to find a rhythm. We have, and that a lot of that's up to the coaches as well. They got to figure out the best starting 11. But yeah, I think those first 2 or 3 matches after the transfer window closes are probably the big matches to watch, because that's when these are the teams. They're going to be unchanged. They got to make this work.
And at the end of the day, I think that's really the fun part of it, is watching the teams kind of morph their way into competitiveness. And it takes time, but fans are less patient than we would hope them to be, and it does make life a little bit more difficult when you're just getting off, starting, and you have expectations for your team to be good or whatever, and they disappoint you. So we don't want that. We don't want to be disappointed, but just take a breath. It's a long trip, and we'll just have to see what goes.
Yeah, and things can always change after the winter transfer window too, because a lot of teams will gauge where they're at in the table, and some will sell players, some will decide we're going to go for it. We have a chance to make some European competition here. Let's make a push. So there's always going to be a turning point for teams around that time of the season as well. But I think another big thing is so never take what you see in this first half of the season, because you can't win the league in the first half of the season. As we saw with Arsenal last year, they got out to such a great start, but eventually they blew it in the last few weeks. Now, what you can definitely do, which teams have to be wary about, is you can lose the league title in the first few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it with Liverpool and Chelsea last year. They got off to awful starts. Chelsea obviously was in the bottom half of the table by the end of the year. Liverpool started to put things together and got hot near the end of the season. But again, that awful start really hurt them the way they were playing before the World Cup, because, they ended up 5th and missed out on Champions League by just a few points. And you got to wonder, if they weren't so bad in that first half of the season and caught fire a little earlier, maybe they make that run to get back into the top 4. So definitely, I think teams have to be wary of not losing it in these first few weeks too. You can't come out and lose the first couple matches of the season. That'll really put you back.
And it's silly. We used to joke and say that don't sweat it. We've got it's a long, it's a marathon, not a sprint. But if you get out there early, and you do, as you say, roll off a few wins, it is something that's going to be good. But you don't want to put yourself in a hole so bad that it's going to take you, you have to play 700 or better to get up on the list.
Yeah,
So,
and I think it's really going to be important this year specifically because the last few years in the Premier League, it's been obviously Man City as the big team, and there's always been another team there. Like, oh, are they going to challenge them this year? They're really good. Like it was Tottenham for a few years when they had won the Champions League and had their run. Then obviously the Liverpool years, the last few years before they fell off last year. So, and obviously it was Arsenal last year. So it's always been sort of like Man City. It's been a 2-horse race, and it's always been Man City and someone else each year in the Premier League. This year specifically, I think we have a very competitive league. Obviously, with the rise of Newcastle, Manchester United being back, they found a way to win yesterday late in that match. Brighton obviously got off. They lost two big pieces in Caicedo and McAllister, and they still came out with a big 4-1 win. Welcome to the Premier League, Luton Town. So they went out and did what they're supposed to do. Fulham got a win on the road at Everton. That was a good team last year. Brentford, they pulled off the draw with Tottenham, so there's going to be a lot of good teams. Chelsea, I don't expect Chelsea to be as bad as they were last year, especially now that they have a direction they're going in. So I think there's a lot of competitive teams in the Premier League this year, and it's going to be a very competitive race for those top 4 spots.
And I think, last year we were on Brighton. What do you think of Brighton this time? Are they somebody who you look at and say, well, you know what, they did well last year. I want to keep them in the corner of my eye as the possible, dark horse. Are there dark horses out there that you're looking at and going, I know it's early, but they need to be looked at.
Yeah, for sure. So specifically with Brighton, I'm not sure what to make of them. That 4-1 win was nice, but Luton Town is a newly promoted side. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. They could end up just being a yo-yo that goes right back down. So I don't want to judge Brighton off that. It's a great win to start the season, but I'm not going to judge them because Caicedo and McAllister were 2 big pieces that they lost. Now they still have a lot of talent from last year. They got guys like Solly Marsh, Adam Lallana, who missed a lot of the season, my guy Matoma. So there's still a ton of talent there. And Ciso's pretty good as well. So they'll be able to make up for the losses. Obviously, they won't have the same talent, I think, as Caicedo, as losing out on Caicedo and McAllister. But definitely, Brighton's still going to be a good team. I expect them to regress a bit. I expected Fulham to regress a bit this year, but we'll see about that. They looked pretty good in their first match, but then again, they took on Everton, who barely stayed up last year. It'll be interesting to see. I actually took Chelsea at plus 1,200 to win the Premier League. I think they're going to be a dark horse this year, specifically because they sold a lot of their players. They hired Pochettino. They have a direction. They have a solid coach now with a direction they're going in. And I think it's really going to be important for Chelsea that they only have 1 match per week to focus on. They're not in any European competitions because of that 12th place finish last year. So other than the cup matches, they're going to come in focused on the Premier League title. And it's just going to be, most of the time it's just going to be 1 match a week. And if they can't focus on 1 match a week, then, this team's in trouble, obviously. But I think Chelsea might be a team to watch. I also expect Liverpool with the signing of McAllister. I think that's an actual replacement for Sadio Mane, which they didn't acquire last year. And I really think it's probably going to galvanize their attack a bit. And I expect Liverpool to be a much better team, but I also expect them to be a very attack-heavy team this year because their defense was not good last year, and they did not do much to make improvements to that. I expect Liverpool to still give up a lot of goals, but I expect them to score a lot as well. I think they will be a bit better.
The better side when it's all said and done. I know there's a lot of Liverpool fans here in the country. That's for sure. Our buddy Foxy's around. Let's see what Foxy says.
And it's talking about that penalty. You know what, Foxy? I saw like 3 missed penalties in the Liverpool Chelsea match. So like I don't even know what to say, man. It's VAR. I don't know what you expect at this point.
It is what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. The fun thing is that it only happened. It happened early in the season, so like you said, you can make up for it.
The only problem is it'll continue to happen throughout the season.
What I mean, I'm watching the VAR stuff, and I assume they position the cameras in a place where they can see offsides or they can see whatever. But there's times when you just sit there and go, okay, I see. They slow it down. You're watching the replay, and you're going, where exactly are they offsides? Because then you use the VAR, and it's like no. Where did you get that? It's like the VAR is like like a cartoon that pops out of nowhere, where it doesn't look. It basically fools you. Your eyes do not see what the VAR sees.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's definitely been a few instances where it looks like a guy's knee is hanging over, and they draw the lines, and it's behind the foot. They definitely picked some bad angles. I've seen a few South American ones where they were checking if the ball crossed the line, and the camera wasn't even on the goal line, and that's not really like a camera you need to move. Just put it on the goal line. But we were looking at it at an angle, and I'm like, how can you even tell there's green between the line and the ball? Because they deemed it a goal by just an inch, like half an inch maybe. And I'm like, how can you even see the green there? You can't tell from that angle. So definitely, I agree. They gotta put some better camera placement, Jim.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna put it at the offside, put it in a line where you can see where the offside would be. It just put it next to the linesman. I mean, or something. I mean, it's just, I don't know. To me, if you're gonna do it right. But I'm not sure the way that the stadiums are set up that they could probably even physically do it that way.
Yeah, it's just they've had some questionable ones for sure. I'm gonna be interested to see how this Arsene Wenger's new rule that they're testing out in the U19 and U21 leagues turns out, because they want to move to make offside where the full body has to be offside. So I think it's definitely going to change the game for sure, obviously, because you're not going to be able to set offside traps the same way. You have to make sure that you catch the whole body offside now. So I want to see, though, how that goes, because obviously they haven't implemented it in the bigger leagues. They're just trying it out. So maybe that will be a fix to VAR. But, yeah, other than that, a lot of the stuff is very subjective, too. Like some of these handballs, it's up to the ref. So or who's working in the VAR booth that specific night. So
that's the other thing too. It's like, okay, it's nuts, but it's nuts in the sad thing is that there's literally, and this is why I think a lot of it, there's a number of ways that this has got to be done. Is going to be there and be done in that regard. It's absolutely silly to think that that's the way it's going to go. I mean, it's crazy, but we're getting a lot of crazy these days. So who's to say, as the old saying goes, right? Who's to say it's crazy? And we'll see. Well, look, we got a couple places to go here. You want to go to the MLB or you want to go to college football?
I'll let you decide. Let's just quickly talk about the Women's World Cup. I just wanted to mention.
Oh, please, by all means. That's right. I forgot about that. We
had one today. Yeah, just because that one's coming to a close soon. We're obviously halfway through the semifinals here. Last night, or I guess this morning at 4 a.m., saw Spain kick out Sweden. That was a wild match. That was 0-0 up until the 80th minute. Then Sweden or sorry, not Sweden, Spain broke the ice in the 81st with a goal, and then Sweden tied it in the 88th just to have Spain take the lead in the 89th again and win it 2-1. So that was a wild one. And now at 6 a.m. tomorrow, Eastern time, so 3 a.m. if you're out on the West, or anywhere in between. So sometime in between, 3 and 6 for you Central Mountainers out there. But yeah, there's definitely now we have Australia and England in the other semifinal, and the winner of that match will go on to play Spain in the final, which Spain was one of the teams I said would win the whole tournament. Yeah, so definitely they are a team that has lived up to their potential for sure. Had them at plus 600, so it'll be interesting to see.
And they're good. That's the other part of it, which I think is important.
Yeah, they're very good.
So when looking into your crystal ball, without giving away too much, is it? What would be the dream? I guess the dream scenario would be, that they hook up with, with Australia and the Aussies win the title would be the dream. Whether that's going to happen or not, we don't know. But it certainly might very well be the dream for the Australians.
Yeah, definitely. If Australia made it to the final, you're definitely going to see a packed house and a wild house for that. It's going to be interesting because England, they haven't looked great in this tournament. They were a team I was down on coming in. The way they won the Euro Cup, they needed tons of extra times and penalties to get by. We've seen them already. They needed penalties for one of their matches against a lesser team. I forget who it was, but yeah, they've had their times. Definitely, 1-0 win over Haiti at the beginning of the tournament. So it'll be interesting because this is basically an away match for them. And Australia has been very good in this tournament. So, that one, like I said, 6 a.m. on the East, if you want to get up and watch that one, it's a pretty reasonable time.
Well, that's a reasonable time. Yeah, you can definitely do it. And then the championship will be coming up soon. So,
yeah, I think that's Sunday. It's the 20th.
It's Sunday. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
It'll be Sunday. And, and then, it's going to be fun. It will be fun to see how it goes. We have a big pressure on Australia tomorrow, playing in front of the stadium. If only Aussies think should be able to consider.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think Lauren James is still suspended, right, from a red card. I think it was 2 games.
Yeah.
So she should be. That's a big piece for England. So definitely Foxy's got a point there. Yeah, like I said, Samantha Kerr hasn't played for a lot of it. So definitely I agree with that. The pressure will be on for the Aussies. They're in uncharted territory, obviously. They made history with that last match. So we'll see how they shape up. England's done it before. So they could very well get to the final. They won the Euro Cup just last year. So
you never know, right? I mean, it's we can take a look at it and see what goes. But by all means, thanks for reminding me, of course, of that. That's a very important thing to be on tune for. Here is the Women's World Cup. Out of sight, out of mind. Let's go this afternoon. There's no afternoon games in the major leagues. You have the Guardians and the Reds for the Battle of Ohio. That's a 6:40 start. I'll give you the pictures I've gotten. If you see any different ones, by all means, let me know. Guardians and Reds. Allen is pitching for Cleveland. Ashcraft for Cincinnati. Astros at Marlins. That's a 6:40 start. Javier for Houston. Cueto for Miami. My God, how many teams does he play for? All right, Red Sox and Nationals. That one's in D.C. Pavetta on the hill for Boston. Mr. Gray pitching for the Nationals. You got the Phillies at the Jays. That should be fun. That's got all the earmarks of a fun game. These teams are literally separated by one game in their wins and losses. Philly is 65-54, and the Jays are 66-54. Zach Wheeler on the hill for Philadelphia, and Kitchie is pitching for Toronto. And he's one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be really good this year. He was awful last season, if you can remember, but
Yeah.
all I read in the offseason was he basically changed his entire mechanics. He basically, every pitch he threw last year, he's got rid of from his arsenal, and he just came out with new stuff. Yeah, he's just got absolutely new stuff this year, and it's been working for him. So got to give him some credit there.
There you go. The Buccos are in New York to play the Mets. Felter pitching for Pittsburgh. Peterson pitching for your New York Mets. Speaking of New York, the Yankees are at the Braves. They got punished last night. I'm afraid they're going to get punished again. Severino for the Yankees. Elder for the Braves. Tigers, Twins. That would be Ferretto pitching for Detroit. And Ober for Minnesota. Athletics, Cardinals. That's a game with only friends and family. I got a TBD for Oakland. Does it really matter? It doesn't really. Hudson on the hill for St. Louis. TBD for Oakland. Angels, Rangers.
Oh, for Oakland, I got Watkins.
Watkins is going to pitch for Oakland.
Yeah. S. Watkins.
Does it matter? Okay. So,
well,
right.
I mean, the Cardinals fans are going to be chanting sell the team anyway. So.
They got to, yeah, exactly. They got to do something. Angels, Rangers. Boy, I'll tell you what, the Angels are just they are going down like a rock.
Actually, Jim, before you say that, the game, I just wanted to say, somebody needs to be fired because right at the trade deadline, we talked about this. Angels pull Ohtani off, proceed to lose like 8 straight. They're now under 500. Mariners sell their closer and they go on to win 8 straight. And now they're like just a few games behind the Blue Jays for the wild card spot. Like we got 2 GMs that need to be fired here.
Right. It's crazy. Angels, Rangers, that game. It's too bad Rye's not here. The ever popular Lucas Giolito is throwing for the Angels tonight.
His favorite.
Right. Montgomery gets the ball for the Rangers. Montgomery, he has a 7-10 record, but he's been one of those hard luck. I mean, everybody has a pitcher on their staff where that they'll lose a game 2-1, 1-0. I mean, that kind of situation. And then you'll get a guy who will pitch and they'll score 12 runs for him. Montgomery's that hard luck guy for the Rangers. He's the only Ranger pitcher under 500. He's at 7-10 with us, but he's got a 3.38 ERA, which is not bad.
To be fair, they got him from the Cardinals, so
right.
The Cardinals have an awful bullpen. You could probably chalk up a lot of that to them just sucking.
It's a good point. In the old days, back when, as the old saying goes, when you got traded, especially from an American League team to a National League team, or vice versa, you start off with a 0 record when you got to the American League, so because they didn't think it was fair to equate one to the other. But now, since you're playing so much in the way of interleague games, I guess it doesn't much matter. So the Pale Hose or the White Sox, it's the Battle of Chicago, and it's Toussaint pitching tonight for the Chi Sox. The North Siders, Cubbies have Hendricks on the hill. Mariners, Royals, easy for you to say. Hancock for Seattle. Lyles for Kansas City. D-backs, Rockies. Manpley is pitching for Arizona. Colorado has Block. A lot of left-handed pitchers today for some reason.
It's lefty night, Jim. It's a lefty night.
Lefty night. Everybody has a left-handed pitcher. Come on down.
Bring your left-handed. Come on to the ballpark. Half price.
Come on down.
It's lefty night.
Here's our late games for the night. 9:40 Eastern time. Start the Orioles and the Padres. Flaherty on the hill for Baltimore, who he was one of their picks. We talked about Cardinal pitchers. He's another one. There's a name out of the past. Michael Wacha is on the hill for San Diego.
I just want to say. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say about Wacha?
No, I was just going to say Wacha has been impressive. He's 8-2 with 2.54 ERA with San Diego.
Yeah. I just wanted to say he's been so great this year, and last year he was probably one of the best starters on the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And he's just been like this hidden gem for the last 2 years, pitching so well. But this is his first start since July 1st, I think. So yeah, or it was early in July his last start. He's been out.
You know,
with
if he's on a
injury,
pitch
so,
count or something.
I'm not sure about that, but I'm definitely interested to see how he comes out of the gate tonight. Because if he just picks up where he left off, this is a guy to watch for the rest of the season for sure.
He's 8-2 with a 2.84 ERA, so he's definitely nails in that regard. I would think if he's coming off of the DL, with that, they probably have him on some sort of count. I mean, they're probably not going to let him go. Maybe 70 pitches, something like that. Maybe. Depends on how much stress, he goes through. If he's going through a lot of, tough innings, well, then they probably wouldn't take a chance. Because, I mean, that guy, as you say, I mean, if San Diego's going to do anything, and that's a big if they're going to do anything, Walker's got to be helped here. Rays, Giants, that'll be a big game out at, out in San Francisco. Little is on the hill for Tampa Bay. Junis is pitching for San Francisco. And the night closes out in Chavez Ravine with a 10-10 start. Brewers, Dodgers. And that game will have Hauser pitching for Milwaukee. And the young one, Mr. Miller, gets the ball for the Dodgers. So that's your baseball setup for today.
Jim, there's quite a few B. Millers this year. So we got Bobby Miller for the Dodgers here. He's in his rookie season, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Then we got Bryce Miller over on the Mariners. He is also in his rookie season. So
it's a Miller brigade of pitching, all over the place, which is not.
I know there's also two other B. Millers that are active in the MLB right now. I'm not sure if they're pitchers, but they're definitely out there.
They're there, so you gotta be careful. Got to be careful. Let's see. Let's go on to a quick look at college football. We talked about the poll yesterday. It hadn't come out yet, so here we go. I'm going to give you the what's going on. Okay.
All right. Give me TCU, Jim.
Yeah, they're in there, but they're not number 2.
Okay, good.
Georgia Bulldogs open their season on the 3rd of September against Tennessee Martin because, I guess, the Academy of Holy Names was booked that day.
They have to get a cupcake team. Come on, Jim.
Well, that definitely Tennessee Martin, with all due respect to Tennessee Martin, that definitely is a cupcake team. East Carolina, now they're not a cupcake team. East Carolina can play football. They're playing against the number 2 ranked Michigan Wolverines.
That called it, Jim.
Yeah, I knew they were going to be there somewhere.
Called them number 2.
Mr. Harbaugh gets.
I saw he got his suspension revoked too.
He did. I mean, he's on a roll.
It's his year, man. It's his year.
If only for Michigan fans, Big Blue. So they're playing at the Big House against East Carolina. Ohio State. This is interesting. They're number 3. They open on the road, which is a very interesting little. Situation. Ohio State usually
at Citadel.
Yeah, well, it's actually Indiana. So not only do they open on the road, they open on the road against a conference team. So
yeah, a conference game right off the bat.
Now I gotta say, number 4 is Alabama, and
I knew it, Jim. I said they'd be back in there.
You did, and you're right. You're 100%. Now they are entertaining. We talked about Tennessee Martin, okay? It's another Tennessee team, and that is against, this time, Middle Tennessee State. So Alabama gets the other pride of Tennessee. Now, got to give it to Brian Kelly for a moment. The number 5 LSU Tigers open the season against Florida State. That's that's a big game, and it's a 3:30 game. It's a national game on the 4th, which is a Sunday of September. So that's a big opening for them. USC is ranked 6th in the I'm not sure they're that good category, but okay. I mean, they might be a top 10 team, maybe. It's Caleb Williams is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, good quarterback. They're taking
They have a defense, Jim.
No. Let me just put Lincoln Riley doesn't know that they're supposed to be a defense. He knows there's an offense, but he's not sure about that defense. So look, San Jose State is not a chump, okay? And that game, of course, is later this month on the 27th. That's a 4 p.m. game. I'm sorry. It says 4. It can't be right. Yeah, a 4 p.m. game. So we'll see how that works out. Penn State opens. They're number 7. Penn State opens up against West Virginia, and that's not going to be easy. They do get to open up at West Virginia at the at home, so that's a good thing. Florida State and LSU, that game's going to be played in Orlando. Florida State's ranked in the number 8th position.
Oh, what happened with your Florida State today?
They chose not to leave the ACC.
Good for them.
Nobody struck $120 million check to get them out. They're going to be there. Clemson, in the number 9 position, is opening again. This is an interesting thing. They're opening with a conference game against Duke, and they're at Duke, so they're on the road at Duke. So you got FSU and Clemson, literally 8 and 9. You got Michigan and Ohio State 2 and 3. So I think we see a pattern here. We got 3 Big Ten teams in the top 10, and
3 SEC teams as well.
3 SEC teams and 2 ACC teams, and then number 10 spot you've got the Washington Huskies. They open at home against Boise State. Boise State is no pushover, so there you go with that.
So the conference formerly known as the Pac-12 has 2 teams in the top 10.
Yeah, well, they got some people in this top 25. Texas opens against Rice at home, and I don't know if we'll see Arch Manning maybe in that game. We'll see. We'll have to see how
I hear he's making waves down there, so we'll see.
Well, yeah, he's he's Peyton's nephew. We'll have to see how that works. Number 12, the Tennessee Volunteers. They open not an easy one. They open against Virginia. That's their opener. Number 13, Notre Dame opens at Navy. Now that's odd because frankly, Navy normally that's a game that's played somewhere in the middle of the season, not right off the get-go. But
so that game is in Dublin, Ireland.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I think that's why they threw it at the beginning of the season because
so that the Navy
Northwestern who went there last year.
Yeah. So yeah, they get Navy off the bat. Number 14, Utah.
It's going to be tough for these Army schools this year because, or the military schools, because the triple option has been banned, obviously. So
pretty much, yeah. Utah opens up their 14 against the Gators. Now the Gators beat them at the Swamp last year, and I understand that Florida is I think the over under on their winning their games won this year is is actually the lowest it's been in at least a couple of decades. They're only supposed to win 5.5 games, so that's not a good sign when you're on the road. And
what do you think of that, Chip? You're a Gator guy.
I mean, everything depends on, this is cliche, but everything depends on Mr. Mertz, the transfer quarterback. and they've got some talent on both sides of the ball. But honestly, the defenses. I think this is a Florida team that if they win 7 or 8 games, that would be a good thing. But I think their future is better, a year or two from now, because they have gotten a lot of young kids in there. And who knows? I mean, if the young kids play well right off the bat, maybe they do well. But it's going to be tough to go on the road and play Utah at Utah. Now, Utah's number 2 quarterback was injured in practice a couple of days ago, and we don't know. The one thing about Utah and colleges in general, they really don't report what the injuries, how bad the severity of the injury is, unless it's going to take the person out for the rest of the season. And so we haven't heard anything about what happened with the backup quarterback. Cam Rising, who is the starting quarterback and a potential Heisman Trophy candidate, along, by the way, with number 10, Washington's quarterback, Michael Penix. And we already talked about Caleb Williams being the reigning champion in the Heisman Trophy race. So you got 3 guys in the technically you have 4, because Bo Nix is another one. You have 4 guys in the pack who could be legit Heisman Trophy winners at quarterback. So Cam Rising, who should be starting against the Gators, has had knee surgery, and so we'll have to see how exactly they expect that to be handled. We'll have to take a look at it and see. What my guess is that Utah's going to be Utah should beat Florida in this game, but I think Cam Rising, it all depends on how. We don't expect Cam Rising to be mobile, but he's certainly not going to be. He's going to have to move around a little bit, because otherwise they will blitzel the daylights out of him. So we'll see. Oregon is at 15. They opening at home against Portland State. Kansas State, number 16. They open against Southeast Missouri State. Here's our TCU team. TCU opens against Coach Prime. That's going to be wild.
Did you see what Coach Prime came out and said the other day?
Yeah.
It doesn't care if players like each other. That's a recipe for success.
Well, clearly he was, you can tell he was on Dallas at one point in his career. So TCU opens against Colorado with Coach Prime. Oregon State, the Beavers. Now, if they open against San Jose State, Oregon State has the team that could be the surprise team in the pack. I mean, we talked about SC, we talked about Washington, we talked about Utah, we talked about Oregon. Honestly, Oregon State they're not deep, but they've got talent, and they got lots of really good talent. So, take a look at Oregon State, watch the Beavers, see what goes on.
They were a surprise last year, right? One of the better ones in the conference. Now, didn't they get DJ from Clemson? Didn't he go in the transfer portal, and that's where he went? All right.
Yep. So you're spot on all of that. He's going to be running the show this year, and he's his brother is also on that team. So they've got the family is in Oregon State. So who knows? That's a definite. You never know. That would be poetic justice if none of the teams that were if all the teams that were leaving the conference, got shut out from a playoff spot by Oregon State. That would be poetic justice. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying keep an eye on Oregon State. They definitely have enough talent to finish quite well. Wisconsin at number 19, they seem to just always be in the top 20, but never quite seem to get over the hump. They open at home at Buffalo. Oklahoma. Oklahoma, number 20. They open against Arkansas State. North Carolina, number 21. They open Oof. They open against South Carolina. I don't know what scheduler put that together, but it didn't help either of those teams. Those teams are pretty close to even. So, yeah, nobody helped North Carolina on that schedule. So, 22, Ole Miss. They're facing Mercer at home. Texas A&M takes on New Mexico. That game is, that's a 20. Texas A&M is ranked 23rd, and New Mexico goes their route. The Green Wave of Tulane, who won the Cotton Bowl last year by beating USC, opens against South Alabama. So that's Tulane. And the final team on our schedule of the top 25 is the Iowa, Hawkeyes. They open against Utah State. That game will be a prime time game on either 5. Well, I guess it would be NBC. So there you go, folks. There's your top 25 in college football. We'll have some predictions for you later, but not yet. There's not. I like to see how how the roster shows up for the first game of the season, right? So we want to know if the quarterbacks are not hurt or any of that sort of situation. So we will be going on and seeing how that works out. But it'll be fun. It's definitely going to be fun to see how that plays out. And there you go, boys and girls. So anyway, Amadeus, let's talk about what's going on with you today.
Yeah, for sure. Before we do that, just want to mention one last comment here from Foxy. He was just wondering when the NFL is starting and any dark horses. I believe that starts the September 11th weekend.
Yeah,
right?
it's the week after Labor Day.
Yeah, so that it'll start on the Thursday night. Obviously, I forget which match that is.
Well, Philadelphia will be playing because that's the defending champions always get.
Yeah, so definitely, so that'll start then. And any dark horses, Foxy, we've talked about. I like the Buccaneers at plus 700 to win that division. I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy. The team's really getting behind him from what Jim tells me down there. So I think they definitely have a shot. The Falcons, they got Desmond Ridder and some talent, but they're not that great. Carolina's rolling out a rookie quarterback in Bryce Young. And we're going to have the Saints where, Derek Carr is Derek Carr, right? We saw him on the Raiders for so many years. And this isn't the Sean Payton Saints, as Jim put it. So I think that's one team to possibly look at for sure.
Well, it'll be fun. And it's, just for the heck of it, just so you know, we're going to be here. So by all means, definitely drop by because we not only talk soccer, we talk the other football. So we'll be here for all of it. So anyway,
yeah, absolutely. So get my plays at bigal.com and pickadvisor.com. I got an MLB up and some Brazilian soccer for tonight, so you can go check that out. And
cool.
Other than that, it's a pretty slow day.
All right, dude. You take care, everybody. Have a lovely day. We'll be back. Tomorrow's Wednesday, and that means a lot of soccer on TV. So we will be back to talk about that and about what happened in baseball and what might be happening in the sports world. So take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.